Hi everybody, it's Colin Stevenson here, joined again with John Lenhart, my hero. I'll say it every single time because this guy has been able to change or allowed me to change my life in ways I never thought possible. And we want to do the same for you so that you can live your happiness and your joy and your love. And today's subject is about
love.
Yes, my favourite subject in the world, and I think it's very underrated in current society. I think it's underrated in life. I think a lot of people find it hard to speak about because they're not used to it. So today's discussion is going to kind of break it down. The pros and cons, well, there's not any cons, but you know, the pros and cons of not having it or living it. So take it away, John.
Well, again, mental health begins with a definition. And the key to this is, what is your definition of love? And it is so important. I really believe that love is the most important, thing. And there's a reason why, and we all know that, but the problem is how do you do it intentionally? So when I ask people what their definition for love is, and they go, love is love, is love, is love, is love. That will actually lead to mental illness because you're putting an effect in the place of a cause in the brain. And so that is really a bad model. That is not the right answer. In fact, I have a video that talks about there's only 4 models for everything. It's a model for models. And this is how I sort out everybody quickly. If you want to become smarter quicker, if you understand these 4 models, you can instantly understand what people are thinking by their answer. So that answer is a really bad answer. It's a causeless answer. There's no cause to it. It's saying an effect. One of the definitions is to give an effect. Well, love is patient. Love is kind. Those are all effects. That isn't what love is. How do you do that intentionally? Again, now you're stating effects, but you can't do an effect. You have to do a cause.
Yes.
So, and that's that addictive thought process. Then some people will say love is a feeling. And it's like, okay, it could be a feeling, but here's the thing. How would you love your enemy? I love dealing with Christians who give the feeling definition because it's like, then how do you love your enemy? And they just stare at you. And the reality is I have a definition for love, but it is the definition that everybody's unconscious brain knows. So I did not invent this definition. This is the non-contradictory definition everybody already knows. And that's why when you say it, it just locks people up because they go, that's it. And their unconscious goes, that is it. And if you try to live apart from this, it's going to hurt. So love is giving without expecting anything in return from the one you give to. That's what love really is. And some people, charity is a form of love. You would give to somebody and something to somebody and you would not expect anything in return.
Yes. So this rocked my world when you when you told me this, and I was like, it's so true. It's just so on the money. Now, while we talk about charity or we talk about love, we watch relationships, people spending fortunes on their partners, and their partners going, oh, I'm so spoiled, or people going to charities and then parading it online to say, look what I gave to the charity. So what they are expecting is expecting something back. Now, when we do something and we're just doing it for the sake of doing it, like these videos, is because we love people. It's not because we want to be, I don't want people to follow me and be like the Pied Piper of Hamelin. This is not my intention. My intention is to allow people to love themselves, to then go on to love others, to allow them to love themselves, to love others, and have this butterfly effect of love. And I'm sure this is exactly where you're coming from as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to go with what you just said. So I'm going to just pick one. So last time we talked about happiness being a tangible effect and a thought process. So love is giving tangible effect without expecting the thought process. So one of the hardest parts of love is this not expecting. And what happens is if you think about it, every time someone's angry, they expected something. One of the things I teach people to help other people when they're angry is to just say to them, what were you expecting? it dissolves that issue right away because the anger is coming from expectation. So if you love, don't expect, you would never be angry. So what's the difference between anger or expectation and hope? Colin, if you and I were going to meet at a restaurant, let's say at 7:00, and I knew what you like to eat at that restaurant, I show up at 7:15, and the waitress says, would you like to order? If I expect you to show up, I would order for you.
Yeah.
Order for me, order for you, because I expect you. So what expectation is experiencing the effects before the causes are in place. Yes. I'm going to experience the effect of you being there, but you're not there yet. If you show up at 7:00, I'm not happy, I'm relieved. Because I had an expectation. I'm like, oh, I'm glad you showed up. If you don't show up, I'm paying for this meal. I'm mad.
Yeah.
Okay. Hope is me not experiencing the effects. If the waitress says, hey, do you want to order? And I hope you show up, I say no. And now when you show up at 7:00, I'm happy because now we can experience the effect. So people don't understand this expectations and hope. So now here's the field where you and I think we really bonded over this love thing, because business is the hardest arena to live in. So if you think about it, you were in the military, if you think about the military or the government, there is no love there.
No.
It is all expectation.
Yeah.
If you think about your marriage or your family, it ought to be all love. You really shouldn't have any expectation. What about business? You have to have expectations. If I put money, if you say you're going to invent a product and we need to sell it 5 months from now, I'm going to go buy advertising space expecting you to deliver. When you don't deliver, I'm going to be angry, but you can't run a business without expectation.
Nope.
However, if you run the business completely by expectation without love, there's not going to be any energy. There is no energy in expectation. There is energy and hope. And so what I watch all these people in LinkedIn deal with is trying to balance love and expectation. That's what everything on LinkedIn is. And that's where I think you and I bonded, is we both knew it had to be both. But when we talk to people, they're either over here or they're over here. No one wants to do business with this person over here because they don't come through on anything. And no one wants to do business with anybody over here because they're not real and there's no energy in it.
Yeah. And just while you touch on that, I would love for people to understand what they do for a living, and what they're expecting to get out of it. Because while every conversation we have, everything is meant to be about uniqueness and what we are good at and what we can give. And then the tangible results will come back regardless, because we are doing what's good for us. Now, because there are certain trends, okay, and there are certain jobs that we are kind of ushered into through the education system and through families, these type of things, we end up doing a job that is not to do with our uniqueness. So there's a balances off straight away because of the expectation of others, which means the expectations is beyond ours. So we're expecting from them expecting. And it's very, very difficult.
Right. And this is why you're so good at helping people, because you understand the complexity. Like, you just basically showed a 3-dimensional problem and you dissolve it with stories, which is amazing. So that's the issue, is like, now you look at why expectation is important, because it's like when you and I deal with people, it's like, what are you expecting? And when they start sharing, it's like, wait, is it what they're expecting, or is it what other people are expecting of them? And it's like, okay, now we're 2 steps away from this issue. The first issue is you got to realize those are other people's expectations.
Yep.
Then you can really find your own expectations, and then you set it perfectly with the balance. The reality is that we do need to make money to live, and we may do something, so that's an expectation. We may do something that doesn't give us energy. We ought to be doing things that give us energy and we live in. It doesn't necessarily have to be paid for. The question is, which one's more important? And what kills me is whenever they try to help the poor, they give them a house or they give them a job. And they go, now they should be happy. And they stressed out their mental process and actually denied their happiness. Versus, and that's, we believe people are robots or animals. Really, when you give the poor tangible resources, you're calling them an animal. Versus if you go up to the poor and go, how can we help you be you, your uniqueness, and you said it beautifully, the effect of doing that will be they have a job, they have a place to live, they end up with money. This is an effect, this is a cause. But all these people, the government, everybody who tries to help people makes this a cause, and that really says you're an animal.
Yep. But because we are effectively controlled by the whole system, the country, the world, everything is controlled by one system. And I use the word controlled, and I emphasize that word because if you've got such a small population controlling such a large population, and they're all in different pockets and different, they're not loving themselves because they've put themselves into that. And when they don't love themselves because they are being controlled and they're not doing what's unique to them, this then causes them to lash out, or the happiness to not be there, which then causes a reaction from other people who don't love themselves because they're controlled by the same constraints.
So I don't want this to keep getting bigger. So you're making so many huge points here. And this is why we love this topic of love so much, because it's so important. I don't believe a small group of people who are controlling everybody is doing it because they want to control everybody. I don't believe that. Okay. Yeah. I believe everything comes down to your model for the brain. Every time somebody posts on LinkedIn or every time someone shares, they, whether they know it or not, are sharing their model for the brain. These people in control, whether they know it or not, have a model for the brain that people are animals. And so the way to help these animals is logically to give them stuff.
Yep.
That is their strategy for happiness. I like to say, everybody's doing everything to try to be happy. It's just the process they pick. So that's why, first of all, understanding how the brain works would show us that really the small group of people is taking everybody down. The second part of this has to do with, you talked earlier about the benefit. Yeah. So the issue with the brain is that 10% of our brain is conscious, 10% is logical, 90% is our unconscious. I like to say it's super logical. It's greater than any supercomputer we'll ever make. Everybody's trying to make a supercomputer like our conscious brain. Our unconscious, no one's ever going to replicate it. In our unconscious brain is all of our energy, all of our sexual attraction, and all of our joy. And I want to talk about the difference between joy and happiness. Happiness is in the conscious brain. Happiness is pleasure chemicals getting released in response to our circumstances. Like I said, I find $20 in the parking lot, I'm happy. Joy is our brain releasing pleasure chemicals regardless of our circumstances. Yes. Now, how does that happen? The way it happens is, and we like to show this video where there's these two capuchin monkeys side by side in a cage. And what happens is every test with animals is a test on our unconscious brain, our 90% of our brain. They give this one monkey a cucumber, and he's fine, and he eats it. They give the monkey next to him a grape, which is better than a cucumber. The first monkey does the task to get, hopefully, a grape. They get another cucumber, which they ate the first time, and they throw it at the person that gave them the cucumber. They grab the cage, they bang on the ground. That is all of our unconscious brain. All of us in the world have an unconscious brain that I like to call a justice monkey. So when things are unfair, our unconscious brain goes off. That is human, that's our unconscious brain, that's what happens. Now, here's the part that I might have to repeat twice, because this is the engine of our technology. Your unconscious brain is reflexive. Your conscious brain is direct. You can do things directly through your conscious brain. You cannot through your unconscious.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is if you hit me on the shoulder, my unconscious brain wants to hit you back. So Colin, if I hit you, my unconscious brain hits me.
Yes.
And so How does it do it with chemicals? So if I hit Colin makes me feel bad and I hit him, my unconscious brain makes me feel worse, and then I feel justified in healing Colin because I even felt worse, so I'm going to hit him harder. And now, because I don't understand how my unconscious brain works, that's what happens. Now, here's the part that Colin and I get, that we want you all to get. If I give to Colin without expecting anything in return, Colin and I are doing this video and giving to all of you something without expecting anything in return. What is our justice monkey going to do to us? It's going to give to us. And that's what joy is. When I walk into a room and I look at all the students, I look for the 1 or 2 students that look like Colin right now. Why does he look like this? You know why? Because his unconscious brain is kicking out chemicals. You know why? Because he loves. I can pick out people who love. Just look. I once executive coached a guy who was like this. I said, the exercise, the assignment for our lesson 4, which is the unconscious brain, is find one person in the world that you give to without expecting anything in return. And his immediate response is, well, I always expect something. I am telling you right now, if all you get out of this video right now is go find one person in the world that you give to without expecting anything in return, you will experience joy. You will start to have that energy. And that's the value of knowing this definition. So the reason why Colin and I do this is because it does benefit us long term. We are going to walk around like this because of these videos.
Now, just while you touched a nerve there, not with me, but with the world, and they won't realise. Now, when we talk about, this can be another subject that we can speak about at length, but when we talk about parenting and they give a child a sweet, they're not doing it because they love the child. They're doing it because they want the child to love them most of the time, and they want that comfort, and they want this, I love you, parent, whatever one it is, and then that makes them feel good. They're not doing it because they are just wanting to be nice to the child. And I know that might cause some confrontation with people as they listen to this video, but if they can just go and give it and not wait for the reaction, it's when people give and they wait for the reaction, that's what's going to make them feel good, not the fact that they just gave it and left the situation.
So you just brought up my favorite question to ask about love. Is I love to say to people because a lot of people say I love you in order to get an I love you back. Okay. Yeah. So I like to say to people, what do you mean when you say I love you? And when I do this in a room full of people, males and females, all of the males go like this and all the females go like this. It is so funny to watch all the females go, I want to know what that means. And all the guys are going, I don't want to know what that means. Okay. So I say to people, what do you mean when you say I love you? And so you can take a second, you can pause the video and answer the question out loud, but here's the issue. I am telling you, Colin, how I feel about you. When I say I love you, Colin, I'm telling you how I feel about you. Who am I talking about?
You.
So if love is patient and kind and selfless, but the act of saying I love you is not patient, kind, and selfless, then is the act of saying I love you not love? And it just causes people to go, what does it mean when you say I love you? And so I actually do this for marriages. Again, I work with marriages that are not just marriages that have fallen apart, but marriages that want to supercharge. Because Colin, what you're saying is I can measure the health of every marriage by the rate of change of love.
Yep.
So if the marriage is producing less love, but it's still above the line, we're doing fine, but we're producing less love, that is not a good thing. You could have the best marriage in the world, but if you're producing less love, you want to turn that around. And that's what I do for people. Okay. So what does it mean to say, I love you? And what I tell people is, and to help their marriages, is I say, what it's really saying is I know that you, Colin, have given me more than I believe I deserve from what I've given you. I believe I've given you a certain amount of value. Let's call it a 10. But I feel like you've given me 100.
Yeah.
So I feel like I owe you. I would have given more. So when I say I love you, I'm really saying I owe you. And that's humble. And what that's doing is saying I owe you. So what's one of the reasons why you love? Why would you give without expecting anything in return? We talked about one, to have joy.
Yep.
Another reason why I would give to you without expecting anything in return is I know I owe you.
Yep.
If I owed you $40 and I gave you 20, I wouldn't be looking for you to give me the 20 back.
Yeah.
Because I know I still owe you 20 more. So one of the things about love is you need to be moral to do it. You need to understand you owe. So I'll tell couples, why don't you spend a month saying I owe you to each other instead of I love you. And then after a month when they say I love you, that's what it means in their brain. And it actually, you don't have to hear someone say, I can say I love you, Colin. I don't need you to say that back, because I just want you to know I feel like I owe you. I feel like I've gotten more out of our interaction than what you've given me.
No, and again, we can both go into that whole love you thing, because I feel that I've gained for more in life from our interaction. So because it's allowed me to change, and so it's like we both owe each other on a different level, but the same level, right? And this is the yin to the yang.
Right. So this is what I say, that where you want to be in a marriage and even a friendship is, can both people see themselves owing the other? That's where you want to be. There's only one way to do that. And it's one of my favorite words is uniqueness.
Yep.
If Colin and I valued everything the same, there is no way we can owe each other. If I have a pencil and I value it $10 and he values it $10 and he gives me $10, I give him the pencil, we don't owe each other anything.
Yep.
So anybody who tries to deny uniqueness, anybody who says everybody should feel this way about this thing, is taking all the profitability and all the energy and all of the ability to love out of the system. And that's what I think frustrated you as a truth savant, is you could tell, man, people denying uniqueness is somehow crippling all of us.
Yes.
And that's what it is. It cripples love. You have to have uniqueness in order to love. And if you have uniqueness and you know your uniqueness, you know the other person's uniqueness, you can find a way to give to them. I can give to Colin something that costs me 10, but it's 1,000 to him. Yep. He gives me something that's 1,000 to him and it's 10,000 to me. This will never end.
Yep. I get that. Now, just as we touched on a subject earlier on about the government and about the kind of way the world's run on this kind of structure. Now, just a quick question. Do you believe, because we are programmed through education, through government, through differences in the system, that this causes us not to love because we are used to working under their rules and it's not allowing us to be creative and unique?
So this is a perfect way to end this. Okay, you set this up. And again, us being males, I think I really speak to males about this. The way we raise males is we say this: take more from other people than they take from you. And when somebody takes from you, handle it well. Don't end up in jail and don't kill them. So us males are raised, I need to take more than what's taken from me. Yeah, Colin's going to take from me, but just make sure I take more from him or I take more from other people, because that's how you're going to be happy. That's a conscious brain strategy. And that's really the programming or the control or the belief we have. We believe we're animals. We believe we're robots. So we do everything through the conscious brain. So acquire at someone's expense and you'll get ahead. Meanwhile, our justice monkey sinks us. And that's why long-term I'm going to end up depressed or suicidal. If we would understand how our brain works and how love works, we would be trying to understand our uniqueness and giving to others. We would end up with more energy and everything would be great. So the reason why I like to work on marriages is there's two types of marriages. One type of marriage is two people who have to go outside the marriage to get energy so they can prop up the marriage. And we all know those people, they come to us and begging for help and energy to hold their marriage up. Another type of marriage is two people who act in their uniqueness and get so much energy, they spend it on helping the world.
Yep.
If we had more people who knew how to love, one person, do you have one person you can love? Okay. And if it happens to be a person who loves you back, you will have happiness and joy. And that would be ultimately how we'd solve the world. So you're correct, Colin. Love would fix the world.
It would absolutely fix the world. And we've got some fantastic, deep and challenging topics coming up as well. And again, that love will be able to change them all. And again, I look forward to these conversations more. Again, we will cause tension, but not abuse. And this will allow people to understand exactly what we're talking about. They might not understand it while they're watching it, but when they go away, and this is kicking in their unconscious brain, it'll work forward and it'll be fantastic. But again, thank you so much for today. It's been absolutely awesome. And I'm definitely looking forward to next week now. And thank you everybody for watching. Take care. Thank you.